Hello, everybody, and welcome to the White Hatter YouTube News Show. I am Brandon.
I'm Darren.
And we got
Were you teaching this morning?
I was teaching this morning.
I can tell you're wearing a tie. What's going on?
We got some interesting news topics for this week. First week. Well, I guess we didn't do last show because it was a long weekend.
It was a long weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took some time off. What did you do on your time off? Let me guess. Sat around at home on your couch eating Doritos, playing video games.
Watching Netflix.
Oh, Netflix. What show?
I was watching Netflix's Defender series.
Oh, cool. We're watching Panic right now on Prime. The series. It's very good. Very good. We binged it.
Not on our show, but you hear that Amazon might buy MGM Studios?
They did.
It has to be approved.
Okay. But it looks like it's a done deal, right?
There's no competition issues because it's two other players.
I mean, it's going to be very interesting, right? And obviously they did it for the reason now it just adds into their portfolio for live streaming, right?
Amazon Prime Video is the weakest service of the three, being Netflix and Disney Plus.
Maybe not anymore. I mean, it's getting to the point.
I don't think MGM really has all. I mean, MGM has a good catalog of, but they're not really doing.
You know who will be attracted to that?
What?
Boomers.
Yeah. Okay.
Because of all the old shows, right? Like, because you know that demographic of people is one of the largest. Seniors are one of the largest demographic of individuals coming in online, right? So if the MGM includes all the older stuff, which it will, I mean, I think that'll attract a lot of the boomer generation, right? You're looking at one right here.
Yeah.
Like watching Hogan's Heroes, you know, all that kind of stuff, right?
Possibly.
So the old Miami Vice, the original Miami Vice. Oh, I'd love to watch that. Oh, that would be cool. Anyways,
all right.
Yeah. So there you go. There you go.
I mean, MGM does have some good current material. I mean, they have.
Yeah, they do.
They have the James Bond stuff.
Yeah, they do.
They have some other TV shows, Vikings. So
they do.
It'd be interesting. Netflix needed a boost in their content.
And
Amazon needed a boost.
As a result of what's going on, I mean, talking to you as well, our Cablevision contract is up at the end of this year. And after talking to you, I'm now looking at the packages that places like Prime do now and Netflix, and it's almost to the point where it's going to be far cheaper paying a yearly plan for Netflix is a good example, because we like watching things like the Discovery Channel, A&E, and they all have packages now like that. So if you just get the basic cable package for just the local news and forget all the other fluff and puff that's on there, and then you go with one of these other packages, it looks like it's probably going to be cheaper. Right, it's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting, right? Like, I think cable is there's definitely some disruption going on, given Prime and Netflix and Disney coming into the foray, right? So
Definitely.
yeah. So what's on the news?
News topics. First one. Report showing that Credential Stuffing.
Oh, we forgot to do in the news.
Credential Stuffing reaches 193 billion login attempts annually.
Okay, so for people who don't know, what does credential stuffing mean?
Basically, it's an attack method where a password and username is known, usually via a data breach.
Right.
We'll talk about one later this show.
Yeah, good
on how foreshadowing.
Yeah.
On how basically hackers will use the human flaw that we oftentimes use the same password all the time. So they'll take a known password and username, stuff them into every possible known possible account you could possibly own,
And see what pops.
up.
Yeah.
So generally, that's the most common hacking strategy that's used nowadays, and it's the most effective.
How many were there? 193
193 billion login attempts annually.
Billion.
Billion,
That's
with a B.
Not a million, a billion.
Yes.
Right? A billion.
That with a B.
Very interesting.
So yeah, and make sure you have different passwords on your account.
And is this why using a password locker like the one that we recommended, LastPass, is the preferred method?
Yeah, LastPass, Apple Keychain, the Google Passwords platform, any of those platforms store your passwords in a more secure place, which kind of gets into the next story, which kind of tails nicely into this one, which is Chrome now automatically fixes breach passwords on Android.
Okay,
so,
what's Chrome? So who owns Chrome?
Chrome is the Google platform, which is Google's web browser.
Right.
Very secure, really reliable. Uses a lot of RAM, but overall it's pretty well made. Automated password changes are rolling gradually to Chrome on Android. To users who sync their passwords. Now, whenever checking stolen passwords on supported sites and apps, Google Assistant will display Change Password button that will instruct Chrome to navigate to the website and go through the entire password change process.
Okay, so put this into English. Basically, what does this do? This new feature, what does it do?
So, a lot of companies like Chrome, Apple Keychain, I don't know how Apple does it, but Chrome, Google Platform, and LastPass, all these password managers will, there's an archive of all breached accounts that people will share. So they will cross-reference those with your passwords to see if, oh, hey, there was a breach on this app you use. Oh, you probably want to change your password because there was a breach, so let's change it for you.
So do you think they're using like PwnMe as a good example? Is there kind of...
I've been Pwn, and there's other platforms out there that are used for that.
So that's a good move.
It's a good move, and it definitely helps prevent the first issue we talked about, which is the credential stuffing, which is happening far too often.
Right. I mean, and another defense to this credential stuffing is, and it's hard for people to do, change your passwords every 6 months, right?
Yeah.
That could help.
It could help, but at least this method, you don't necessarily have to change your passwords because this method will now detect when you should change your passwords.
Gotcha.
Which I guess technically is a better solution because let's say you change your password 6 months, there's a data breach, and now you have next change is 6 months after that. So there's 6 months of the same password.
Gotcha.
So this is more of a immediate reactive response.
Yeah. Kind of cool. Well, all right. What else we got?
Next story is Apple isn't happy about the amount of Mac malware out there.
I mean, as you know, I'm a Mac fanboy. I'm an Apple fanboy. I really am. And there's no doubt that the Mac operating system on the MacBooks, as well as the iOS, are sandbox fairly secure. But we've been saying for years as a company that just because you have a Mac doesn't mean you're protected against this. Because remember the old commercials that were out where it was Mac versus PC? Who were the actors in that? Remember those?
Justin Long and John Hodgman.
That's right, right? Yeah. Where they would fight back and forth going, wow, well, you know, us Macs, we don't get viruses and all that kind of stuff. Well, yeah, at the time when those were shot, Mac wasn't as popular as it is today. And because Apple products are so popular then and taking over market share, starting to get there, then obviously those who want to exploit its weaknesses are going to be doing stuff like this. So it is very important for those people like us who use Mac. Now, we use both in here at the White Hatter Studio, right? But for those who have Mac, it's important that we have some form of malware protection, right?
Yeah.
Is that basically what this is saying?
Basically, and the story on this one was there's a court case going on between Apple and Epic Games in regards to App Store sovereignty and exclusivity and all that stuff.
Right.
But basically, Apple said in a courtroom, they wanted to keep Apple's App Store locked down because on iOS there aren't really many viruses, which they're not wrong. Where they said in the courtroom because the Mac ecosystem, you can install anything you want. It's an open platform, and they said in the courtroom there's a bunch of viruses on there, and we're not happy with that.
Right.
So I don't know if that's benefiting it's benefiting their court case, but not overall their perception of security.
Right.
It's very interesting they said that, but hey, that's how it goes.
What's the product we use for protecting our Macs and PC?
For us, we have Bitdefender here in the studio.
Yeah. I mean, I was using another product prior to Bitdefender that was advertised as the software for Mac, and you said, trust me, Dad, try this product, and whatever, right? So I put Defender on thinking that the other product that I had would be just as good. And Bitdefender was actually picking up some stuff this other big name product going on.
Yeah, I mean, any antivirus program, Kaspersky, Norton, Bitdefender, ESET, any of those major brands are decent enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very happy with Bitdefender though.
Yeah, it's working well.
Yeah.
And the next article, which is kind of a head scratcher, city pays $350,000 after suing hackers for opening a Dropbox link that the city sent to them in an open email.
Okay, so can we talk about definitions and linguistics here now? Like they said hackers.
Yeah. So
like to me, if the city sent something to somebody in an open Dropbox and it was there to be seen, how is that a hack?
Exactly. I mean, they claimed it was a breach of data law and whatnot, and they were like, no, this is private information, confidential, you can't. So basically, the story goes, two news bloggers legally request information from the city, and the city accidentally sent the wrong thing.
Okay, how is that a hack?
Exactly. And then the bloggers were like, oh, okay, so we're going to publish this information because we received it. And the city was like, no, they can't do that. You got to take it down. We're going to sue you, all that stuff.
Okay, so they might have I'm not a lawyer, don't pretend to be one, but they might have an actionable cause there to do that, right? But to call it a hack, I think all they're trying to do is to cover their liability, right? Because they're trying to say, it wasn't our fault, it was somebody else who did it. Well, no, it was your fault because you sent it by mistake. You didn't pause before you hit the send button to make sure that what you were sending was in fact what should be sent.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think they call that negligence.
Yeah. So basically, a bunch of activist groups got involved in regards to online privacy and security, and they were like, oh, we don't really have a case here because we're probably going to lose. So they settled because they were probably going to lose.
For making it public. Not the fact that they were hacked, but for making what they received public when they knew they shouldn't have done it.
It was false. Yeah, it was false.
Yeah.
In that they weren't. It might have been private information, but you sent that to someone who then made it public, who was not bound by a contract or an NDA or any of that.
I mean, one of the things that NDA, non-disclosure agreement.
Yes.
We became very aware of what those were during the Trump presidency. Anyways, back on topic. The issue of this, though, for me, and I think this is something that you really nailed through my head as you worked through your master's program, was that never believe a headline, right? Because a headline is designed to be attention grabbing. The whole idea is for you to click on it, right? The clickbait idea. And you've always said you need to drill a little bit deeper, because if you're just reading the headline here, you're going, oh, somebody else just got hacked. Well, it wasn't a hack.
Well, right? I mean, this headline, yes, the headline used hackers, but they're quoting the word hackers that were used by the city,
right?
Because they misused the. I mean, people misuse the word hacker. I mean, the word hacker in its original essence just means breaking something apart and figuring out how it works.
Yeah.
But
kind of like what you did to the computer that's behind you, right?
Yeah, basically.
One of your first computers.
Yeah, basically, computer was hacked.
Like, how many years ago did you do that?
I don't know.
You were like in grade school, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
But, people in more common discourse, people use the word hacker.
Oh, good word, discourse. Man, you've got the words going today. Did you drink some kind of a caffeinated drink this morning?
I had Powerade.
Oh, wow. That's sugar.
It's sugar. It's not caffeine. Is there caffeine in there?
I don't think so.
It's right there.
Okay, well, you're talking, I'll look.
All right. So, I mean, people use the word hacker in more common language as meaning someone bad who breaks computer code to do bad things. But, that's why we have good white hat hackers. So, I mean, the word hacker is definitely misused a lot. Any caffeine in there?
No caffeine.
Okay.
A lot of other stuff, but no caffeine.
The sugar.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Next one.
Next one.
What flavor is that?
That's fruit punch.
Fruit punch.
Hashtag not sponsored. If you want to.
This segment has been brought to you by. You're funny. What's the next one?
G Fuel, anyone? Any power drink out there?
Yeah, exactly.
Just give us a call.
Yeah, exactly.
Want sponsor the news show? Let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Next article. Scammers impersonating Windows Defender to push malicious Windows apps.
Oh, what's the big deal on this one?
So this is I added this to the show because it's a very effective phishing attempt.
In what way?
Scam. Well, what these individuals were doing is that they were using the built-in notification system in Windows. So a lot of web browsers, you can allow for notifications. So you can be notified if you can sign your email.
Kind of a cool option, right?
It's a cool option to get notified on, you got tagged in something. It comes through your web browser instead of downloading an app on your computer, which is good. But a lot of these notifications look as if they're notifications from your system. So what's happened kind of ingeniously here from these scammers is that they're impersonating Windows Defender through probably a mistake someone did by accidentally allowing a website to send them notifications. And the notifications they're sending is impersonating Windows Defender, which looks to be like legitimate Windows notifications. And they're clicking on this, downloading malware, and then getting infected. So it's a very good scam because there's not a lot of things you can do to prevent it.
That was my next question. You basically wrote your master's thesis on phishing and that kind of stuff. So how do you defend against this?
Well, this one, the only way to defend is making sure the websites that you allow to send your system notifications are appropriate. And that's really the only thing here. Because there's no other, I mean, having proper antivirus in place that prevents that in the first place, but then, they're impersonating Windows Defender, which people think is good enough, but it's not. People still use it though. And they go, well, it must be safe with Windows Defender. They install it, and then they get infected. So, I mean, it's a tough one, because I don't have a very set answer. It's don't allow notifications on websites that aren't legitimate. But what if it's a scam website that looks legitimate, and you accidentally accept notifications? This
is a sneaky one.
It's a sneaky one.
That's a sneaky one.
So, I mean...
Can you just go to, when an update goes, can you just go to the Windows platform and download it from there?
Well, that's the hard part, because Windows updates happen through the system.
Right.
It's not as if you can go to the Windows website and download it from the website, because they don't do that.
Oh. So you can't go to Windows to upload the latest Windows Defender? You must be able to.
It's through the Windows operating system.
Okay. But if you go to Microsoft, can you not download the Windows Defender from the Microsoft page? You must be able
Windows
to.
Defender is a program built into Windows.
Okay.
So it's not as if it's a separate program. So I guess, if you get Windows Defender and you get a pop-up saying install something, it shouldn't be through a third-party website.
Gotcha.
It should be through your system.
Gotcha.
But the issue is that these notifications come through the system, which make it appear as if it's more legitimate. It's just a really tricky one.
Interesting. Yeah, it is a tricky one, actually.
And
if you can't figure out a workaround, that makes it even trickier, right?
I mean,
'Cause you're usually pretty good about
the only solution is allow notifications through your browser on proper sites.
Yep.
Have antivirus prevent it in the first place.
Yep.
And I think that's really about it. That's really about it. I got nothing else for you.
There you go.
So just be extra
All right.
cautious.
What's the next one?
Next one.
No,
This is a good one.
This is not good.
So kind of sandwiching our topics together.
Sandwiching our topics together. You are on fire, my friend.
Plain text passwords of 8.3 million users linked in DailyQuiz data breach.
So what's a plain text password? Like the other ones we were talking about breaches.
Yes.
What's the difference between this breach and the other breaches?
So data breaches happen every single day, and I'm bombarded every day with articles and stories and reports of this app was hacked, or this website was hacked. And generally speaking, most of the hacks include getting people's email addresses, big deal, phone numbers, big deal, maybe location. I mean, it's just personal information.
Right.
Nothing security dangerous, because anyone can find that information if they are really so inclined to do so.
Right.
It just makes it a little easier for scams and targeted phishing to happen if someone knows all your information.
Okay.
But generally, most data breaches, passwords are kept in a secure encrypted vault. So even if someone does steal password files, it doesn't mean they can decrypt the file and get all the passwords.
Gotcha.
But some companies and some websites use poor encryption, or they just use plain text, no encryption. The passwords you enter are there in like a Word document that everyone can see.
So DailyQuiz is one of those.
Basically, so what hackers were able to steal plain text passwords, email addresses, IP addresses of 8.3 million users, and was sold on the internet since January 2001.
Million users.
And
that's huge.
the data breach was sold for roughly $2,000 USD in cryptocurrency.
Oh my God.
So
only $2,000.
Only $2,000.
So here's the challenge, right? Because we know that most people don't change their passwords, and because we know that most people, or a high percentage of people, have a habit of using the same password on multiple platforms.
Precisely.
This becomes extremely problematic.
Yeah, so this goes directly into the first topic we talked about, which was the first article was credential stuffing.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect storm.
You sandwiched
Yeah.
the first story to this story. It's sandwiched.
Yeah, so this
I get it.
This is a perfect storm where basically 8.3 million people, plain text passwords. All it takes is a scammer to do, because they have the email addresses, they have the passwords. Why don't they try it on Facebook, Instagram, Google, Microsoft? Just try it on every possible known account and see what you get.
So would a smart thing, again, let's talk about defenses against this and after action. So would you recommend that everybody's watching us right now go to I've been pwned just to plug in their passwords to see what's
Correct.
going on?
I do believe the data breach is on Have I Been Pwned. So you type in your email address and it will broadcast to you what possible known accounts have been breached, so you can get informed.
So what's that site again?
Have I Been Pwned?
Okay. How do you spell that? Like, have I been PWND,
Yes.
right? No, okay.
Googling it should be your first result. But that's why using,
And it's free.
And it's free. But that's why, Google app implementing their, again, another story that kind of ties everything together. Having a password locker that scans dark web for password breaches. So why we talk about this so often is because this happens all the time. This
Yeah,
is
the weakest link is always the human link, right?
This is the most common, most effective hacking strategy out there. It's not that someone's going to hack in randomly into your computers. No. Unless you're installing viruses, then okay, fine, maybe. But if you're doing great, amazing things online, chances of bad things happening, very rare.
Right.
Hackers go after the big players,
Gotcha.
which are the companies we entrust our data with. And sometimes they make mistakes.
So everybody who's watching, make sure you go to I've been pwned, Google it, throw in your emails, just check to make sure that you're not one of those who've been breached. And if you are, find the change your passwords, right? Think about getting a password locker like LastPass. They use the Apple keychain. Google's got one as well. These should be standard operating procedures now that everybody, including teens that are watching, but mostly adults as well, should be implementing to help minimize. We'll never be able to get rid of this 100% of the time, right?
No. And I think, when you're looking at younger demographics, people, often think, why should younger folks care about this? Well, it's because, the amount of accounts you sign up to when you're younger far supersedes any accounts you sign up for in your adulthood.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
You think about all the little games you can sign up for.
That's true.
So, I don't know how many accounts I've signed up for when I was younger. Tons out there, like tons, for whatever different purposes, because cool apps,
And you weren't thinking about this when you were younger either, right?
Well, I was.
Oh, yeah, you were. I wasn't. How many times did I go, hey, Brennan, we need help? All right.
Yeah.
We need help.
No, I had different email addresses and passwords and
Yeah, you've always been big into that.
And logical assignment of credentials to certain accounts. I've always had that.
You were always thinking that way. No, you were good that way. No, for sure. Yeah, not me, not so much.
Yeah.
You would. I don't know how many times Dad, you use the same password again. Yeah. So, Dad, don't do that.
Yeah.
Dad, you use the same password again. Don't do that.
Well, that's why you have LastPass now.
I know.
That assists you in this endeavor.
I know.
So you log in to LastPass, get your password. That's
the other good thing too is having LastPassword by giving you the password as well as our son. If Mom and Dad were to die in an accident tomorrow for whatever reason, you now still have access to our accounts.
Yeah.
From an estate standpoint as well. Like this is some of the things that people don't think about. Like estate planning has kind of morphed a little bit, right? Because a part of estate planning now is also controlling one's digital dossier online, right? And if
your digital assets.
Exactly. So if all of a sudden you, as the child who is now the executor of the will, don't know what passwords are, it makes it very hard to do that, right? So these are things that people need to start thinking about. And there, we actually recommend, there's a book on our website. If you go to our website, which is
whitehatter.ca,
and go to resources books, there's a great book written by a Canadian on that very issue, right? So something to think about. Hey, anything else on the news?
That's generally it.
I got some questions.
What's that?
I noticed that the desk here has got a couple more, like, what's this thing right here? Can we do the top-down camera to have a look?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at I noticed that we got the 2 stream decks now, right? Like this one has sound effects and stuff. Will they hear the sound effects if we click it?
They should.
Oh, let's try one. Let's try it. The trombone and that kind of stuff. Anyways, and we got the other stream deck. What's this for? The iPad.
So the iPad controls the cam. So this is the jib control. So this is I preset 6 positions where the jib can be positioned, and right now I just have it looping between low and high.
And so for people to see the jib, if we go to the back camera, there it is right there.
Yeah,
right?
this thing right here. So there's a camera up here, and there's a jib right here.
So you can see it moving now, right? That's like, it is unbelievable what we're doing here in the studio. I mean, that's all being done remotely. It's like a robotic kind of an arm, right? That's kind of cool. that has added a whole different aspect to our presentations that we're doing in schools.
Just wait till we add the third camera. Oh, what? Sorry, what?
Actually, it's more than the third camera, because when you think about it, we got this camera. This is our main camera, right? We got our camera 2, which is the jib, the one that's moving. We got our top-down camera, so that when we're demonstrating things. We got our back camera, which is kind of cool. We also have a
4,
green screen camera. Hey, how you doing? Right.
That's 5.
So we got 5 there. So we're actually going to be adding something else.
Yeah. Well, 6 camera inputs, and then we have obviously an input for laptop 1, laptop 2, and the iPad.
The iPad.
So that is what? That's 6 cameras, 3 device inputs. That's what? 9 HDMI inputs.
Yeah, and I mean we're doing this.
Excessive?
Well, no, not excessive considering what we're going to be doing this summer that we're keeping under wraps, right? Because we're kind of doing some things that are really cool that I don't think anybody else is doing. And so to do it and make it look professional, then we needed to do this kind of stuff. So, you know, from an investment standpoint, it makes total sense. And the other thing too is, I don't know how many, the feedback that we're getting from schools and parents groups right now over what we're doing from a visual standpoint, especially now that we've added that one, right, which is the jib movement into it. I mean, the feedback we're getting is just spectacular right now because of the quality, because we push out, all these push out at 4K, right?
So the 2 main cameras are 4K cameras. Now they're down sampled to 1080, but you get the best 1080 version of 1080.
Right. Can people see it in 4K? Only if they have a 4K screen, right?
I mean, because we use Vimeo when we broadcast out, technically you can, but no one does that.
Right.
That's just no one needs to do that.
I mean, just the quality, the crispness of it, the movement. I mean, and when we're presenting, we're not sitting like we are now.
No.
We stand, we move around, and add in, and with this new camera that we have on the jib, it allows us to go into a wider angle, so we're going to be able to move around the set even more. I mean, it's amazing, and this is just set 1, right? What people don't know is we do have a second set that we use, right, as well. So it's kind of cool. I'm really looking forward to some of the plans and the ideas that you have on board coming once we finish. I think we got 36 presentations from today. You just 35 after the one today. We got 35 now set until the end of June. And then we got a couple scheduled during the summer months, which is kind of cool. And then we got another 35 booked for the fall already. But this summer we're doing some really cool things that we're going to talk about
upgrades.
as we progress. But it's been really cool. I mean, again, what you've done here in the White Hatter Studio to create this type of an experience has been unbelievable, and I'm actually very excited to see what you're going to be doing. And another thing is we've got another product that we've been asked to review that we're hoping to make public here in a little bit, kind of like what we've done with the Griffin router and the pinwheel phone that we now recommend. There's another product that we're dealing with right now, and I'm just about finished reviewing that. I got to do a drop test and a water test on it today. So we'll see how that stands up. And so kind of cool what we're going on. So
nice.
You should be proud. You should be proud of what it is we're doing. So on behalf of myself, I'm Darren.
And Brandon, thank you all so much, and we'll see you again next time.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.